Hello, good evening. And Hi, my name is Hiren Metha. I'm a software developer by profession, a CEO of a software firm, and a dad to a 3-year-old, and the founder of the Dad Tinkering Time channel. Loud, I think. Hiren Mehta. I'm a software developer by profession, a CEO of a software firm, a dad to a 3-year-old, and the founder of the Dad Tinkering Time channel. So, what is Dad Tinkering Time? That Tinkering Time is a YouTube channel where we post experiments and activities for kids to enhance their analytical skills and to develop their critical thinking. It's a YouTube channel where you will find a lot of videos and which you can do with your kids at home. We try to do things which are easily available at home because due to current situation. So make sure you visit the page, look at. So it's going to be beneficial for your kid. So make sure you visit the page and subscribe to the channel. So a lot of times I've been asked, why and how did you start that tinkering time, and why science? It's a very interesting question. So this is something which is related, and I'm telling you this from my own experience with my own child. We are in a difficult situation with the current COVID pandemic that we are in. But in my opinion, it has been the most difficult for our kids. We as an adult can express our opinions, our frustrations, and whatever we are going through. But our kids, they are still grasping the vocabulary to express themselves. So they are completely homebound. Their schools are closed. They cannot meet their friends. They cannot visit parks. And this has been going on now for 3 months. And now we are in unlock 1.0. And at least I, who's located in Mumbai, and it's still about 3,500 COVID cases have been recorded every single day since in the last week. I still am not comfortable sending my kid out there. So it's been very difficult for our children where they are completely homebound. They do not know how to utilize their energies. So the situation that we were in, that's where we noticed this is way back in March when our child, we noticed behavioral changes in a child where he was unable to set with the routine that he was forced into. So that's where I started researching online, and I started doing experiments and activities with our child. Within a month, we saw phenomenal change in him, where he was able to think more creatively, he was able to do things more differently, and he was able to, his analytical approach towards life had completely changed. This was something which my wife and I noticed, and that's where my wife, Mansi Mehta, and I decided that this is something we should share with the parents out there because it's going to only benefit the kids. So that's how we went about starting the That Tinkering Time channel. So why science? Well, why not? I'm not a scientist myself, I'm a software developer. But, and I do not intend to make my son a scientist. That's not my intention at all. But science is something which provides a child with various opportunities to develop and practice different skills and attributes like team working, analytical reasoning, and problem solving. It helps his sensorial development as well. It gives them it exposes them to uh, uh, various vocabularies which you wouldn't be otherwise using at home. For instance, inflate, deflate, chemical reaction. These are not words we would otherwise use on a normal day-to-day life. So this is something a child would pick up when you're trying to do an experiment with him. And most importantly, it helps to nurture his intellectual curiosity. It allows him to think, visualize how what things are happening, try to analyze things, what is question that. And as a parent, if you're doing an experiment with your child, if your child starts questioning, you have one. You have one, and your every effort is a complete success. So that's all you should be looking at. That your child asked questions, and that's about it. So that's the reason actually we chose science, because we saw a lot of changes into him. To to demonstrate what I am trying to say, we'll be doing two live experiments today. A word of caution: any experiment that we actually do, we make sure and we advise that there is adult supervision, and you do not let the child do it all by himself. All right. Our first experiment is a conceptual experiment where we are trying to model how rains fall into our atmosphere. Just get my apparatus. To begin, you need a clear glass jar. Take some tap water and fill 3/4 of the glass jar with water. So we are doing experiments with things which are easily available at home, because we do not wish for you to venture out. Stay safe and stay home as much as possible, because things are not looking good at the moment. The next thing that you need is a shaving foam. What you now need to do is create a thin layer or a medium-sized layer of shaving foam on top of the water that you filled in the jar. That's my layer. If you make the layer too thick, then you might have to wait for a little longer for the magic to begin. The next thing what you need is food color. I have my food colors here, and they should be of medium consistency. What you do is you pour food color in on top of the shaving foam that you've already put in here. So the food color is what the water droplets are. I'll be explaining the concept of the complete experiment once we finish doing it. You pour food color on it. You can use multiple food colors because it's going to be aesthetically very beautiful for your child. More colors, the more intrigued he would be to see how and it works. I'm going to use different colors here. You can see the rain from the rain of the green cloud is the green color is already pouring in, and it looks very beautiful. The kids are going to love this experiment because it's aesthetically very beautiful. Uh, they may grasp the concept, uh, which is not really important. The important thing is that they should enjoy what they are doing, and they should be asking you questions. That's about it. Right. So I've added four colors into it, which is green, blue, black, and sorry, not black, green, blue, yellow, and red into it, and it's falling beautifully into the water that we filled in the jar. So the logic behind this experiment is that the water which we have filled in the glass jar is the atmosphere, and the foam which we added on the top of it is our cloud. The color which we added onto it is the water droplets which get filled on the clouds. If the clouds cannot manage the water droplets and they become too heavy, that's when they start pouring and the rain comes into the atmosphere. It's a very simplistic model of explaining a child how the rain happens. It is very intriguing for them because we are using colors, and uh, it's about they would be very astonished to see how beautifully the colors are pouring into the water, and it creates a beautiful colorful water. So that's my jar, and if you can see, it's still the colors are still pouring into the jar. We'll take questions about both the experiments later. If you have any, then please do leave them in the comments, and I'll be addressing them one by one. So, that's our jar. It's colorful, and it's going to, and your kid is absolutely going to love it. It's a very simplistic experiment. See, even the greatest of minds, like the Albert Einstein said, that in science it is important that you never stop questioning. So an experiment like this, you can always ask your question: why do you think that the color is falling from the foam, or why do you think that what will happen if you use hot water instead of the tap water that we've used? So it's always about, as a parent, we want to intrigue a child with, and we want to nurture the curiosity, and want them to ask questions and think differently and think logically. You'll be surprised with the number of questions and the kind of questions they come back with. It's absolutely fascinating. My 3-year-old comes back with questions which are which you cannot even imagine that a 3-year-old would be able to ask. Another point that you can cover in this experiment is that it's a scientific experiment about density, where the foam on the top, it doesn't mix with the water below because it is less denser than the water. And the amazing thing about science is also that if you replace foam with something like oil, which is also easily available at home, it becomes another beautiful density experiment which you can try it at home with your kids. So that's my jar. I hope you are trying at home. If you are trying, please make sure you tag us on Instagram. Our Instagram handler is That Tinkering Time. We would love to see a little scientist at work. Well, moving on to the next experiment. It's called a lemon volcano. See, we at That Tinkering Time love to use a lot of colors in our experiment because we want to make it aesthetically very beautiful for the kids. It's only when you're able to grasp their attention, they would be intrigued to do things more and more, and they would. In fact, my little one comes back and tells me that, Dad, today we'll be doing an experiment. So the amazing thing, as I said, about science is that it helps in team working also. Some days I ask him that today you would be my assistant, and the other days he would tell me that today I'm doing the experiment and you assist me. It's a fun bonding session between a father and son, which I absolutely cherish, and that's an experience which we at That Tinkering Time would love you to experience as well. So for the next experiment, which is the lemon volcano, we need about 3 or 4 lemons. We have already shared materials. I'm not sure if you have them. If in case you do, you can try it along with us. This is another simple but a very aesthetically beautiful experiment. What you need is 3 lemons. And see, a lot of times, as I said, a word of caution is that you do not let the kids do everything. For instance, in this case, we are using a knife. So make sure you, as an adult, you handle the knife and do not let your kid touch it. So what you next need to do is you need to chop a little part of the lemon from the top, and a little from the base, so you're able to stabilize and keep the lemon on your plate like this. Make sure you do not throw this away. You'll need it again. I'll just do with the rest of the lemons. So if you have big lemons, and this experiment would really be beautiful for your kid. We've done this in a lot of workshops, and believe me or not, there are parents of 1.5-year-olds who have come back and told us that we did not expect a kid to enjoy this workshop, but we ended up seeing them doing things, and something really surprised them. So age is not really what matters when you are trying to do such activities for your kid. because as a parent, we really want to input as much as possible for our kids, and without any expectations of any output, because eventually someday they would come back and tell you and ask you a question about something which has happened 2 years back, and you'll be very surprised with that. All right, moving further, what you next need to do is you need to take a spoon and poke it into the lemons and make some deep holes into it. The next thing you do, right? Sorry about that. The next I'm sorry, I think voice got muted. So what I did was I added color on each of these lemons. The next part after that, little voluntary, uh, you can add dishwashing soap on top of each of these three lemons to add the extra fizz and the oozing, which you'll see as a later part of the experiment. I've added a little dishwashing soap in all three lemons. You can do that. It's optional. It's not necessary. But if you do, yeah, the effects of the outcome rather would be a little different than otherwise. The thing about science is that when you change things a little bit here and there, an outcome is always different. That's why you try and troubleshoot it, or rather you tell your kid, what if I use this instead of, let's say I use a mango instead of a lemon, what will happen then? Or if I use salt instead of baking soda, which we'll be putting next, what then? So this is where you start thinking and rather playing with the kid's mind, and try to increase his curiosity as much as possible. As a parent, what we need to do is we just need to try and make them think. If they start thinking, then you won your battle. The next, what you need to do is you need to add baking soda on top of each of these lemons. Make sure you generously add the baking soda on the lemons. It's already oozing. What you then need to do is you use the spoon and poke it into the on the baking soda which you added, and you'll see the oozing which happens like a volcano. It's already oozing like a volcano. I'll just show it to you. It's already oozing and it's coming out. Aesthetically very beautiful, and because I'm using food color, it smells beautiful as well. Where do you see beautifully smelling volcanoes these days? and the kids are able to see them and smell it. It's going to be very they are going to be very they're going to love this experiment. Now you can use this lemon which we had cut initially, and what you can do is you can squeeze it on top of the lemons to add the extra oozing and the fizzing. See, you need to understand that science can be a little messy, but everything which involves innovation can be messy. That's fine. So you have to allow the kids to try it themselves, and you have to allow them to mess around with things. That's absolutely fine. Always keep a mop along so that you can clean after they have created a mess. So, what is the science behind this beautifully designed lemon volcano? Lemons are citric acid, and when we add baking soda on top of it, it chemically reacts with the citric acid to create carbon dioxide and sodium citrate, which fizzes out and gives that extra fizz, and the dishwashing soap that we added also helps in creating more fizz. We're making it look like a volcano which erupts and giving them a first-hand experience of things. So this is how it looks. You can allow them to play with it and squeeze as much as juice from the lemon they can. When they use their hands, it also enhances their sensorial abilities because it helps the fine and gross motor skills as well. So that's another addition on why science. So these were the two experiments that we really wanted to show and demonstrate about how you can go about intriguing your child and trying to help him love science, and how you can go about how can you initiate a love for science for him. Here my hands are a little messy. Right. So the amazing thing about science is that you can find science pretty much everywhere. For example, today I take my kid for a bath, and there's science there also. He's playing with his rubber duck. I tell him that, son, you playing with this rubber duck. What if I put rubber duck and push it down into the bucket? What do you think will happen? He'll probably notice that it floats and it comes up. Another thing which you can tell him, that what if I put a soap bar with this rubber duck? Do you think it will float just like the rubber duck, or it'll sink down? See, that's the whole beauty about science. You can try and explain science from the very simplistic things which are available at home. You don't need fancy things to do science experiments. And with the current situation, you really want to stay home and try to channelize your child's energy and time into something much more creative, where he's not able to do things with much more efficiency, and you also really want you really want him to learn something as well. Here, the idea, although, is not to teach and make them a scientist, but obviously you are still exposing them to basic scientific fundamentals, which I'm sure he's picking up. He's still learning, and which will benefit him in the future whenever it can. As a parent, we only are as a parent, we only are here to assist our kids into pushing them into something more creative. See, our kids are born geniuses, and we as our parent are only here to mentor them, to channelize their energy into something much more creative. And it makes a hell of a difference when we as parents do activities and experiments, and they visualize us, and they really want to do things because we are doing it. So today, for instance, my kid will come and tell me that dad, today's an experiment day. Or if I'm fixing something with a tool, he would just pick up a tool and he'll start fixing things on his own. So when I'm asking him, son, what are you doing? He'll say, I'm fixing my car, although it's not broken. But that curiosity is there to do things differently, which otherwise wouldn't have happened if he had not seen me doing it. So the question now is that how do you how do you intrigue your child, or how do you tell your child, or you push your child into something much more creative, or into science, which is such a wonderful thing. Well, to begin with, you do experiments, as I say, with your child. If he sees you do it, he is going to do it on all by himself. He'll start picking up things and he'll start doing it by himself. And when he does, you always value your child's questions. Uh, you listen to them patiently, how much ever silly you might think it may be, but you always value his questions, because the important thing is that he's questioning, he's thinking differently. That's what, as a parent, what you want from your child. And I see a lot of times, your child will ask you questions to which you do not know answers to. We parents are not encyclopedias to our child. We are, as a parent, we if we don't know an answer to a question, for instance, somewhere I read that a child asking a parent, why is the moon traveling with us wherever we go? It's a very adorable question, but it's a question we do not have an answer to at the moment. So always tell your child that, son, what do you think? First, try and nurture his curiosity. Son, what do you think? Why is this happening? And if he's not sure, then you can always tell him that, how about we together, look this up. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be such a team bonding activity for both of us together. And I'm sure he's going to jump up with joy and say, yeah, there's something you look forward to for a child. He would love to do this. And always allow him to take the lead. For instance, today, if he comes and tells you that today I'm going to do the experiment and you're going to assist me, sure. The other thing is that, as I said previously, explorations are messy. When your child is doing things, it's going to create a mess. That's fine. As a parent, you should accept that, because it's only with explorations he'll be able to get to newer grounds. So learn to accept that it's going to be messy. So always keep a mop ready if in case your child creates a mess. Let him create a mess. That's what about it. Let him create a mess. And once he's done whatever he's doing, invite his curiosity. Ask him questions. When, how, which, what if I use another solution instead of water? For instance, there is this other simple experiment which I told you, where you replace foam with oil. What if the water below is not tap water, it's hot water? And what if we pour oil before water? What happens then? So always try to intrigue his curiosity. You try to we push him to ask questions, because only when he's going to ask questions, he's going to think. It's a delight for us parents to see our kids ask questions, because see, what exactly is science? Science is best described as a word, uh, which is nothing but a method of organizing which is nothing but a method of organizing our curiosity. And that's all, as a parent, is what we need to do. We just need to organize their curiosity, channelize it to the right direction, and trust me, they're going to do wonders. Now, I'd be much more than glad to take questions if there are any. Also, remember that please do visit our YouTube channel, which is That Tinkering Time. Uh, that's youtube.com/that tinkering time. You'll see a lot many such activities and experiments out there. Do subscribe to the channel, because it is only and only going to benefit your child, and which is a motto of our channel. we want to share our experience with other dotting parents out there, because we know that it's going to benefit your child, and it's going to create wonderful memories for you parents with your child. Because it's absolutely a joyride for me with my son, or my wife doing it with my son. That's the whole point of starting the Dad Tinkering Time channel. That make sure you subscribe, you view the videos, and try it at home with your kids. And when you try, please do make sure that you tag us on Instagram, which is our handle at That Tinkering Time. We would love to see you guys, your kids, at work, and it's something. It gives a lot of joy and pride to see these kids doing something that we've done, because the experiments and the activities which we put are carefully curated for these kids, so that and you as a parent, because we make sure that when we try to do it, it's not going to be difficult for you to understand it. The steps are very easy, and your kids are going to love it, and they are going to be able to do it with their hands on. So it's a lot of fun, and the activities and videos which we post are targeted for kids from maybe 1.5 to 8 to 9 years old. So it's a lot of fun. So please do try it at home, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done that already. Uh, I do not see any questions. Well, if in case you do have any questions, please make sure that you can DM us at our Instagram handler, which is That Tinkering Time. Either my wife or I'll get in touch with you, and we'll be more than happy to help you uh, curate these experiments for your child, or child as well. Because see, as I said, the whole idea of the channel is to make sure that many and many more kids benefit out of it. As I said, this is the toughest time for all of us out there, especially for the kids, where they are not able to go out, school's closed, they are completely homebound, and that this is the best way to channelize their energy into something much more creative. And trust me, as a parent, I have seen a lot of change in my own child, and I wish to share that same experience with your child as well, and something that you should be able to enjoy and create a memory for a life. Having said that, before I end, I would certainly like to wish all the dotting fathers a very happy Father's Day. You guys are doing a great job, and keep on doing what we are doing. The mothers are, it means you cannot compare the mothers, but we don't do a bad job ourselves. Uh, so that's about it. Thank you for your time, and if in case you need anything, you can just contact me with the information I've already shared. Thank you so much, and have a nice day. Thank you.